again, everybody, and welcome to week 3 of the high school football show here at the Altoona on YouTube TV. As you can see right away, Mike Boydham is on assignment this week. The second time, I think, he's
somewhere really nice.
Yeah, we're going to do a thing next week called instead of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, Where in the World is Mike Boydham? He's not here. And this man needs no introduction, but because it's on the script, we have to introduce him. Is our founder of the show, our agent, the guy who brought me to the mirror in 1984. Neil Rudel's coming in to guest for us to replace Mike and offer us. He's done some high school football here this year for us, and he's going to be able to help us with one of these games. Andy Stein needs no introduction, but I'll give him one. My name is Scott Franco. Ian Eisenberg is behind the camera.
He's the guy that brought me here in 2022. So
there you go. He's responsible for all of this.
Yeah.
But we're going to, real quick, we still don't have the Southern Huntington helmet. It is somewhere in...
What?
It's somewhere in Blair County, I can say that. Yeah. We're hoping to have it for next week. Doesn't mean you people out there who haven't given us a helmet can still give us a helmet. Drop it off at the mirror. Email us. Geez, our names are in the paper every day. Or anything else. We're pretty much taking anything. T-shirts. We got the shirts in the backs. But
I said that helmet was in Gary Black's trunk.
Is it? Gary Black is in charge of getting that helmet to us. I still have faith in Gary. And he's going to give it to his wife. He's going to give it to my wife. And I know everybody's on the edge of their seat waiting to see that Southern Huntington helmet on this table. With that said, our week 3 games, we're going to go right off the top. One of the big games, I believe it's Saturday. Bellefonte 2-0 at BG 2-0. And Mike did leave us a great little tidbit here. It's been 6 years since Bellefonte even won a season opener, let alone 2-0. He didn't even know the last time. And they've beaten
two really good, historically really good schools in Central and Chestnut Ridge.
Yeah, and then BG, and BG's always good. But that Saturday night at Mansion Park, I mean, I got to think if Bellefonte's going to make a statement, that's the game to make the statement with now.
Well, it's good, too, because I think a lot of the college games are earlier in the day, so BG will have a bit of a stage at Mansion Park on hopefully a nice weekend Saturday night.
The times Notre Dame played, we know that at all. That they still want their fans.
Their big win over Texas A&M, so that'll probably be in mid.
Texas, Michigan's at noon. Penn State's at noon.
Yeah.
Now, the Illinois
BG's done such a good job for a long period of time. This is a good early season matchup. That's cool. And, Bellefonte, over the years, has been, a respectable program with good athletes. So,
wouldn't you say that Bellefonte's coach's biggest task is going to be don't be intimidated? But, he wasn't intimidated by Central.
And I don't think he
by Chestnut Ridge.
And I don't think he should be intimidated. He's 2-0, and they beat 2 pretty good schools. So,
Coach Confer, right?
Hey, 2-0, that's all you can hope for at this point of the year. And, hey, line them up on Saturday night.
And a tribute to Mike, Hamilton Gates for BG. 5 touchdowns in their first 2 games. And Bellefonte's quarterback, I looked it up on Max Preps, Liam Holderman. He's like their leading rusher as well as being their quarterback. But that's who they had to look at. Our second game we're going to talk about is which I guess I have to be objective here. Central 1-1 at Tyrone. Central 1-1. Hey, look at these neutral colors. I'm wearing white after Labor Day, too. The Central 1-1 at Tyrone 1-1. And Mike's little tidbit he gave us here. Dragons are 8-1 in their last 9 meetings. And they both are coming off wins. Central beat Somerset. Somerset led 7-0 in that game. Somerset took the opening kickoff. I thought, we were in there listening. I thought, oh my God, if Central goes 0-2, the Co's going to go nuts.
Yeah.
And Tyrone's coming off a win over Johnstown. But Jerry Albright, I don't know if you know Jerry, good guy.
Jerry did stats for us for Central many years ago, probably around the time that you were getting started.
Yeah, he's a math teacher, so if you're going to do stats, math people are the ones to get. But he's such a good guy. I want to see him win. I just don't want to see him win this week.
I think from the Cove, I know some of my pickleball friends, they have good skill players. Moodler is one of the area's top quarterbacks and athletes. I think they expected a little bit of a drop off this year with their linemen. Andy, you can speak to that. Their last few years, they've really had all the pieces. I think they're kind of in a rebuilding mode, right?
Yep.
And again, coaching again without the physical stuff, he's got to keep those Central kids convinced. Hey, this isn't like as scary as that first loss.
I think the week 2 win, that helps them out a lot. You can wipe away week 1. Same thing with Tyrone. I mean, you had a tough point against Clearfield week 1, and you come back and you get a 30-point win over Johnstown last week. So
Didn't Clearfield thump Forest Hills?
They did.
Last week,
Yeah,
so right there, so I mean, Tyrone, not that you're going to sit there and say, oh yeah, I can feel better because the loss is still lost. But I again wrote some names down Mike had. Trent Adams, the kid who's the transfer from BG, he's Max Prep stats leader. The walk kid, a quarterback, and then you have Muthler.
Tyrone was a BG transfer.
BG as a BG
that
transfer.
right?
Trent Adams, his dad, Jeff Adams, was on the BG football team that my brother Tom played on. He was an offensive lineman. Trent's a receiver. He's, after 2 games, he's their leading receiver. But this Eli Woomer is picking up stats for them. Seth Hoover and it's all kids. But just talking to a person close to the Tyrone program, it's their line against Central's line because he believes they both have really nice skill position people. But who's going to have the better offensive line? And I always ask you the same question. Yeah. Tyrone's home. I mean, you gotta.
That makes a difference, even in high school. I mean, especially at Tyrone, not an easy place to play either.
And this is a game, if you remember last year, they started on a Friday and finished it on a Monday because of the weather. And my brother hated that. Absolutely hated that because they started thumping them on Friday and they finished thumping them on Monday.
That's hard.
So, and then our next game,
weather delays, and we were down in Penn State, West Virginia. Yeah. Andy and I mean, it's frustrating for everybody. You got to practice safety first when you start seeing lightning. But I'm sure for everybody involved, coaches, players, even the media, it's a long day.
I heard a few times people were talking about a Sunday finish, and I don't think anybody wanted to do that day. The same thing in high school.
Would you guys have stayed overnight in West Virginia? That's
I would have been able to come back.
We did not.
Would have been like the odd couple. You guys would have get a hotel, motel. Oscar, and I'm going to think he's Felix. And
Fantasy football draft Sunday. I cannot miss it.
There you go. Our next game, and this is the reason why we brought this guy in, because he saw him week 1. Forest Hills 1-1 at Penn Cambria 2-0. Penn Cambria, this is the one Mike left us. Penn Cambria has won the last 2 games over Forest Hills by a combined 89 points. Now, again, you read both their games, but you covered the first one. What did you like about Penn Cambria?
Well, I also saw the Penn Cambria Richland game last year, and those are 2 good teams and kind of a rivalry developed. I mean, Penn Cambria, Felix has done a good job up there. I know his tenure got cut short at Altoona, which, Altoona is a struggle for anybody, Vince Lombardi. But, Penn Cambria has a lot of good athletes. The Harold kid at the top of the list, but their backs run hard. Plunkett, Brady Jones, the quarterback. These kids are versatile. They play really hard. I think there was a Mento kid on defense, hard hitting team that really kind of believes. They got that whole mountain mentality.
And the
going
Harold
up
kid.
there, big crowd. There was. I think that'll be another big crowd in Crescent.
And the Harold kid was our athlete of the week.
Yeah,
too.
nice to see that.
You remember seeing this brother now, different players, but just good athletes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the brother was our mirror athlete of the year.
Yeah.
Not only great in football, and I believe he's at Duquesne.
Yeah.
As a quarterback candidate in there.
He'll be at Boston College this Saturday, too. That's who Duquesne's playing.
Right.
Bill O'Brien.
That game.
Yeah.
Well, again, asking you the Penn Cambria thing. Last week, again, we were in here covering all the games on the radios. When we saw that Phillipsburg Osceola had scored first, and it was kind of even in the first half, we thought, oh my gosh, this bizarre year is going to give, and then just pulled away in the second half. But again, that had to be a great early test.
And it sounds like that's what Penn Cambria is kind of do to you. And then you mentioned Harold with the athlete of the week. I think he put up like almost 200 receiving yards on Friday night, like just video game like numbers right there. And his brother used to do the same thing as a quarterback, from what I remember. Just it could be a special year, I think, over at Crescent.
Speaking of special, it was a great transition word because I think the team that we've adopted, at least here in the newsroom, Glendale, Tuna, Spanky Trexler, BG alum was at BG when I was at BG, at Juniata Valley 1-1. And Juniata Valley, that's going to be a great test for Spank because they've beaten two nice teams to start 2-0, and teams that usually beat Glendale.
Yeah.
But I got to think they're going to put a statue of him up there if they keep winning like this. Because back in the old days, did you not go cover Glendale football when you were young?
John Lloyd. I covered a couple games with John Lloyd. I unfortunately missed the Sam TC era because he's my age. I have a question, though, about Spanky. Everybody roots for Spanky. Does his mother, is she the ticket taker at the Glendale gate? Because that's what she does at the JMC where Spanky's the athletic.
I did not know that. That's a great little Neil Rudel trivia tip. Well, here's what I was thinking.
Nice to see Glendale. Andy has a lot of roots.
Yeah.
Nice to see them off to a good start.
Would your dad have been on any of the teams that he covered, like Glendale?
I would have think he had to been. My dad would have been around the early 80s. And it's funny you mentioned that. It's funny you mentioned John Lloyd. I was talking to my dad on Sunday about Glendale. He asked me again, how about that Glendale score? I didn't see him Saturday, so he had to tell me on Sunday. And he actually said John Lloyd would have loved this because they're getting it done with the defense right now so far this year.
Well, that's what I think. That's a good setup here because I'm looking at Landon McGarvey, 18 tackles in the first two games. For a high school kid, that's really good numbers. And then also, I looked, their leading stats were split between this Jimmy Sutton and this Logan Screeback. Again, they're not big numbers because what you said, they won the one game, 14,
13. I think they both had 1 point wins.
Yeah. And then Juniata Valley, to give them equal love here, their two big stars have been Levi Thompson and Logan Brandner. And I can't help but think that Brandner kid might be one of the Williamsburg kids with the co-op program.
Well, it's a Williamsburg name.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I think it's cool that integration between Williamsburg and Juniata Valley, is it 4 or 5 years now?
I believe. Well, maybe at least 3. It's at least 3 now.
And don't forget, too, it'll be coming up. We'll have a story that they're going to play a home game at Williamsburg this year, which I think is fabulous that Juniata Valley did that.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to hear a small world story here? Me and Neil, like we said, we were at West Virginia on Saturday, speaking of Glendale. West Virginia's SID is, coming around, shaking hands with Penn State media, welcoming us to West Virginia. Stops by me and Neil and says, "You guys are from my hometown newspaper. I'm from Clearfield County." And I said, "Where at?" "I'm from Morant." He said, "I'm from Marvona." This guy was a Glendale guy. Well, his parents were Glendale people.
Right.
Mike, I'm not sure his last name.
Johnston, I think, was his last name. So that was pretty cool. Pretty small world thing right there.
In our quick hit section here, 2 games we want to let people know about. Allegheny, Maryland, 0-0. At Holliesburg, 2-0. I can ask each your opinions on that. The last 2 years, Maryland starts their high school football late, and I said the last 2 years, that'll be an advantage for Holliesburg. Holliesburg lost both games. Now, they both one-score games. Now, don't you think that should be an advantage from these? Well, Holliesburg's good this year, too. They're 2-0.
Well, it should be. I mean, one of them was probably Fort Hill, right?
No, it was Allegheny. They lost, but Fort Hill's in the middle of this.
Oh, okay.
So Fort Hill will have a couple games when Holliesburg plays them. But this Allegheny popped up on the schedule, and it's weird that they're 0-0. Now, they've had scrimmages.
Well, they started early in PA. I mean, you're starting the first game was August 23rd.
Yeah.
Keeps getting earlier.
September, we're on week 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, how about you as a football player? You guys were.
Yeah, I think
Wouldn't that drive you crazy to play a team that's got 2 under their belt?
I think it goes both ways. I mean, they got 2 games of film to study on Holliesburg, but Holliesburg, it probably helps a little bit that they've played 2 games. But it also probably helps Allegheny, Maryland a little bit. They're probably pretty fresh. Holliesburg maybe dealing with some bumps and bruises already. So I mean, it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah, and it's a home game too. It's Holliesburg's home opener, so they're hoping that they get a nice turnout for this.
I would give Homer credit. I mean, they're in the Laurel Highlands for all sports except football
Because they won't let them.
because there's 5A. If they were, I think 4A, they probably would be in the Laurel Highlands. So that puts a lot of pressure on the AD football coach, Homer's both, to create a schedule. But he does such a great job and has so many relationships that he's able to piece together an independent schedule, and that's not easy to do.
And one of my favorite stories that Homer tells is that he got mad because he would like to play in that league, and he said that one of the coaches, I didn't think he wanted to tell me because I'm terrible at keeping secrets. You've got 13, 14, 15 Division I kids walking around those halls every year, and Homer goes, come to my school and show me where they are so I can get them to come out for football. And I went, yeah, I agree. Our other quick hit, and this is our tribute to Ray Atkinrod, is Cambria Heights 2-0 at Marion Center 2-0. And on paper, that looks good. But again, Mike had a great stat. Cambria Heights has won the last 4 games against them. And they've scored at least 34 points in each, if not more. So this is another one. And it'll be up here in our stat of the week. But Cambria Heights is just, I mean, they're having fun in that league, I would say.
Hey, shout out to Ray, right? I'm sure he thought it was appropriate to move to the Heritage, where they're having Heritage, right?
Yes.
They were having more success. They were taking their lumps in the Laurel Highlands, even though they had kind of more natural rivalries there. But, yeah, it's nice to see them. That's Jared Lewis, right?
Yes, and Northern Cambria is in that conference, and that's a nice. That's the Coal Bowl, man. That's where you and I met, the Coal Bowl. If you remember, BG, not the Coal Bowl. It was BG at Northern Cambria.
Yeah.
And BG won on a hook and ladder play, and you would come up there. I was keeping stats for my brother. I was like a freshman at Penn State Altoona, and he came up. He goes, "What's that play called? What's that play called?" I think it was called like 67 hook and ladder, something like that. But, Joe Lawver, there's a BG name nobody's mentioned on. Joe Lawver catches this pass. Boom. Touchdown.
Well, your brother loved that hitch and pitch.
I just think it was such a, I always want to call it every time. He goes, you can't call that every time. That's stupid.
Be on guard central for the hitch and pitch, right?
There you go.
Or the halfback pass, or any number of other trick plays he's pulled out of his pocket over the years.
But here we go. Here's our, we're coming up to the finish line. And here's our stat of the week. And speaking of Cambria Heights, last week in their win-over purchase line, they held them to negative 18 yards of offense, 1 yard passing, negative 17 rushing. And I just think that's, kudos to that defensive line. That linebacker and secondary, everything. I mean, that's the whole game. So it wasn't like
That's impressive.
like they didn't just let up at halftime. They kept playing defense like that until the end of the game. And then now we got your.
Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps.
Sort of got a line of the week. It's Labor Day week. I'm a day late on everything. I forgot to get a line of the week. I knew I wanted to make it Glendale this week. The thing with Glendale is the stats aren't overly impressive or anything like that on either side of the ball, but the fact is that they're 2-0 and they're 2 really solid wins. They might be team wins, but hey, the line deserves some recognition for that too. So I did not get a whole spank. I will do that, and I will have names for you next week on that episode, but I apologize for that.
See, that Labor Day, when everybody was working, Andy was taking it off. He took it the off.
I was here last night. I just forgot to get line of the week.
But you know what I didn't forget, because this is what everybody loves, except for Mike. Mike's not here, but maybe wherever Mike is, he's going to hold me in contempt.
He's watched that from afar.
He's watched from afar. Our cool names this week.
I wanna know what's the name of the game.
And in BG, I've kind of like taken this where there just have always been great Italian names. And God,
always.
To Bishop Guilfoyle. And I'm not even saying mine because I love my parents, but they named me Scott. They should have named me Luigi.
Yeah, but the last name's
Giuseppe Franco. Could have named your kids Dom and Vinny.
Salvatore.
How about that, Salvatore? But our kid this week, for one of the cool names from BG, is a freshman lineman, Nicky Georgiana. He should be down at the Buccinese Club playing bocce, but he's not old enough yet.
Probably 8th Georgiana generation.
But you know what, Johnny, Georgie, and I went with Marty and everything. And Johnny's kind of Italian. Marty, Nicky. Wasn't there Adam Georgina? But Adam's in them. You named your son Adam. But Adam's Nicky Georgiana. And Dan will have that spelled correctly because we don't want the Georgianas mad at us. And then this name's a Bellwood kid. It doesn't sound like a foil. He's a lineman, but it sounds like his name is Bryson Hescox. Sounds like it should be in literature, 1700s, 1800 literature.
I'm distantly related to him.
There you go. See, I didn't even know
His
that.
dad Brandon was a junior high coach at Bellwood.
See, Bryson Hescox. I like, there's like just the sound of it. You think he'd be like a wide receiver or even a kicker or a punter. Nothing against kickers and punters. Okay? But it just sounds like a great name for a lineman. But that's going to do it for this week. Next time you see us, this guy won't be here. Mike Boyden's going to be here, and we'll pretend like none of this had happened. But for Dan Eisenberg behind the camera, Andy Stein, our special guests, Mr. Rudel. I'm Scott Franco. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.